So we are still talking about commercial show prep, how to do it, how it should work. And what it came down to is that the better you plan, the better you understand your content, what you're putting out there, and the better content you can put together. Okay. I played you some power spots to give you an idea of what I expect in terms of what a power spot is, so that you can understand the differences. But what you want to do is you want to do brainstorming. You want to add yourself, your character, and your personality into everything that you do. You always want to focus on talking to one person only. Okay, no more than that. So know you guys, know everyone out there, just you. You always speak to one person only. That's the big difference from radio to any other medium. Radio is the only medium that can talk to you one-on-one, okay? And we do it through giving you content in such a way that a passive listener, in the sense of someone who's busy multitasking, doing other things, can still listen. That's a big difference between podcasts and radio. Podcasts is not made for multitasking. It's made for sitting, concentrating, listening. Radio is made for multitasking, being able to do multiple things at the same time while listening. And then you build all your links with a P2 listener in mind, so a secondary listener. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through features with you again, because in your assignment, you were asked to come up with 2 features. And I had quite a few people give me utilities, aka news, weather, sport, and traffic. Those are utilities. They are not features. They are not links. They cannot be a link unless you're doing a feature specifically about some news topic in, let's say, South Africa, where you give me your input still. A feature will always be personality radio. You'll always have a part of you come through. Why that topic? What is your perception or your opinion on this topic? How do you feel about it? What do you want your listener to feel after they have listened to it? So you give them something at the end of the day. So we plan everything beforehand by doing our rule of 4, which we spoke about: your hook, your payoff, your point of view, what else? We also spoke about it in terms of so you're setting the scene for me, then the trouble, the muddle, then the payoff where something happens or it doesn't, and then your blackout, the end, right? And then what else are you doing to make this thing bigger and bolder and in such a way that we can see it and shareable, okay? So we looked at the link planning sheet, where the story summary is you always need to be able to summarize what you're talking about in one sentence. If you can't do that, it's not structured enough, okay? You need to be able to explain to me in one sentence what your aim is at the end of the day with this piece of content. And there has to be emotivity. Once again, what do you feel about it? Why are you talking about it? Then what emotion do you wish to evoke from a listener? So for instance, there's a lot of stuff happening in the news currently. Let's see what is going on. Okay, that's world news. But if we were to take if I were to give you a topic, let's see, News 24. Ooh, lots of international news. So the biggest thing currently obviously going on is the political election is a month away. So there's an article here that was posted about South Africa's missing a socialist voice in the 2024 polls. There's an article about same faces who caused problems in the ANC that are still being seen, etc. So if you were to, not that I'm saying you ever should, do a political piece. So let's say you have a political feature once a week where you chat all things politics. Then you need to tell me, how do you feel about it? So in my case, I feel worried. Okay, so I feel worried about the future of South Africa in terms of politics? What feeling do I want to invoke out of my listeners? The same thing. I want to get them to the point to actually go and vote. So I want to do story selling because I want to action them to go and vote on 29 May, meaning that I want to get them to feel worried also, to feel passionate about the country that they live in, to actively want to change it. So that's the kind of emotivity I would write in there. A promise I cannot write before I've done my performance link. So these, the hook, your point of view, payoff and punchline, and what else forms part of your performance link. So in your hook, I can say something like, what if we wake up tomorrow and we only have, what if we wake up tomorrow and having 2 hours of electricity per day is the norm, like it was in Zimbabwe, right? So then that would be my hook. And from there, I would then describe why I'm saying that with regards to the process that Zimbabwe followed, which was exactly like we're doing now, up until the point where they had like a level 16, where they only had 2 hours electricity per day. And then speaking about how I feel about it, how we can combat it, how important it is to go and vote, blah, 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 blah. So I would give a personal story, for instance, speak about how it was for me personally as an older person before load shedding kicked in, and how strange this phenomenon is and how used to it we've become, versus when we have people from other countries coming to visit us. I recently had a friend here from Netherlands who was like, what is this? They don't understand this load shedding thing. Like, what is it? How is it that you don't have power, but you can sell coal to other countries, etc., etc.? So I would tell you my personal story, my thoughts about it. Then like leading up to this point of getting you to feel something, right? And if it was like a phoner or a topic I wanted engagement in, then I would perhaps play a voice note or two of people for my what else, just with regards to how people feel. And then I would ask other people to let us know, not to complain on air, but perhaps for solutions, like, or for your vote is your own. You don't ever need to tell anyone who you vote for, but perhaps we could ask people to tell us who they're planning on voting for and why. Like, what is the reason behind it? Is it purely because it's been so ingrained in us, or is it a case of you've actually gone and read what they want to do? You've listened to caucuses to see what their plans are, not the words, but what actions they plan to bring in, etc. So how are you going to end that link to make this thing go viral? Then we have a lot of different types of links once again. Okay, so but after this, now you can go write your promise, and your promise needs to include a bit of your hook. So you can say, imagine waking up tomorrow with 2 hours of electricity being the norm, chatting about this next, okay, whatever, something like that. So now I've used a piece of my hook that I've incorporated here, and I've used that as my promise for the kind of content that I'm going to talk about next, okay? Do you understand that? The picture I've just kind of tried to paint for you in terms of how important it is that your personality needs to shine through.
Yes, ma'am, understood. I heard you talking about a phono. Please refresh my memory on what that is.
Phoner.
Phoner. Oh, yes, phoner.
Phoner.
Okay.
Okay, so phoner, same thing, but I would have said, let us know what you think about this. Phone us on blah, 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 blah. And then I would how we would do it is not necessarily purely take 1 or 2 phone calls. We would do this link, or I would reset my link. So just mention what I've been talking about, because I didn't necessarily just do a promise link, I did a whole link. And so I'd reset it. I might play a voice note or 2, and then I would take phone calls, like maybe 1 or 2 or maybe 3 max. But the phone calls need to give me the different viewpoints from the different people, different characters. So we never get only one viewpoint. We always get different viewpoints, people who differ from you, people who feel the same, people who have a completely different mindset, something you haven't thought about yet, okay, when it comes to that. Because it also helps you to make this thing a little bit bigger, add more layers to it. So what I want to do briefly is, I'm not going to play the whole thing, but there are 2 links that I want to play for you, that'll incorporate this, that'll show you kind of how to do. It's not a feature in this case. This is what we call an open feature, what they did, but they had this content piece that they started, but it was a story arc, so it continued. So then in the next link, they asked people to, so they play people's voice notes and phone calls, okay? So it's important that you know how to do this. I'm wondering now, I'm hoping you'll be able to hear this. So let's see. Just give me a second.
And then,
okay, no, that's, yes, I think this is the first one.
Having lunch. And then I'm like, okay,
Can you hear the link playing in the background or not?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so let me just start it like at the beginning of this link again.
Here's out. Okay.
So listen to how they do the utilities, okay, in such a way that it's organic. It doesn't sound like it has just gone 8:44 here on Boston Media House. My name is Sharita, and I am taking you all the way through to 12 o'clock, whatever it is, okay? So I'm not going to play the whole thing here, but I'm playing enough so that you can get an idea. And then I'm going to play you, because I actually want to play the following link for you, which is the reset link, so that you can see how they used people's inputs so how they use the characters on the show to make the link fuller.
I heard, it's not even heard via the grapevine, like in my face this past weekend, right? Long weekend. So I take my nephews out, my son and my nephews. We go out, we're having lunch. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to work after I drop you guys off. Is there anything you guys need? You know, like snacks. I'm like, is there anything you guys need? Because you guys are going to be stationed at the house, you know, watching movies, having yourself a play date. Is there anything you need? One of them says, oh, he actually has a birthday party. Oh, nice. Yeah, after our lunch. And he needs to buy snacks for the birthday party. So I'm like, okay. I mean, he's all of what, 12, right? So he's been invited to a party. He's been invited to a party, and in the you know, the information, the communication from the family that is hosting a party for their 12-year-old, they were told that they must bring snacks. I'm like, okay, cool. We'll stop at the pantry. We'll definitely get snacks. We'll buy a gang of biltong and some chips and, you know, some chocolates. And he's like, oh, and I also need 350 rand. So I said, wait a minute, snacks and what's the 350 rand for? No, that is what we're told to bring.
Oh, it's like an entrance.
Yeah.
Entrance fee.
Entrance fee for a 12-year-old party. They must all bring 350 rand because it's and it's overnight.
Okay.
At this family's house, and the theme is like a camp. No, I'm not understanding. My brain is short. Can you imagine?
So my kid's been invited to a party, and I must send them with drinks and snacks and 350 rand. Are they? Okay. What are they getting for the what?
I don't know, because I don't know this family. This is like.
Okay, so I'm going to fast forward a lot now, because they talk about this in detail now first as the presenters.
Really, that's the case. You know,
Didn't really know people.
So they give the different viewpoints.
Yes.
everyone paying for themselves.
Yes.
Right.
Am I weird that I found it weird?
Someone charging to come to a party.
This entire request for a 12-year-old party, we must bring our own snacks and 350, and we must buy a gift.
But then you're not buying a gift.
I wouldn't buy
No,
it.
then
we
you're not
didn't
buying a
buy a
gift. No, you're not
gift.
buying
We
a
were
gift.
just like, listen, buddy, we are here contributing to your party. I don't know what the situation is there by you and your family, but this is bizarre for me. It is bizarre, ne? Send us a voice note, 084 0000947. Parents, kids, teachers, I mean, has this ever happened? Am I the one who's still stuck in 2019? Is this how things are happening now?
Connect with an.
Okay, so that's how they ended the link. So I teach you, do not play a jingle after you've spoken. But there are some cases where you can, like in this case, what they've done is the jingle that's following is wants to say, connect with us, phone us on blah, 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 on the number. Okay, so in this case, you can use a jingle, but for your sake, not until you get to this level will you actually use jingles to assist you with your on-air content. But so that's the first link. So they spoke about this thing, they set the scenario, they gave us the muddle and the trouble and how they feel about it and asked for your input. Now the following link is now where the reset comes in and where they're using voice notes. Okay, so this was in essence a phoner link, the one you just heard. So this is now the next one.
Summer. You just joined us. You are just in time to help me make sense of this situation. This past weekend, my nephew's like, hey, you have to go to a party, Auntie Anelia. I was like, sure thing. After we have brunch, we're dropping you off at the party. I'm like, are you going to need anything?
So this is now the reset, where they're resetting what they just spoke about.
Yes, I need to buy snacks and I need to have 350 Rand. And if we can just possibly swing by and buy my friend a gift as well. So I'm like, wait a minute, why are there so many demands for entrance to this party? So I'm like, walk me through it. No, 10 kids have been invited, all from our class. And it's going to be an overnight camp and we need to get snacks, 350 Rand in cash. But the cash part comes when my nephew's being dropped off already. Because then they call, they're like, no, the money has to be cash. I'm like, no, man, I'm going to e-wallet it to the mom. You know,
Right.
if you can stand down, like, no, it has to be cash.
I think this is also a conversation we need to have, because I think the expectation of what a kid's party is,
Yeah.
like Cindy was saying, just bring a bag of chips and then we have the kids have a good time. Like, that's not what it is anymore.
But kids don't care. To them, to be fair, a birthday party and a play day to them is the same thing.
Yeah.
As long as they're with each other, they don't care. So, and
So do you see what they're doing now? So here before, so they've set the premise and then they are giving opinions again before voice notes have been played.
I just felt I wanted to ask, what's the 350 Rand for? You know,
Well, they've obviously spent it on creating this party in some way. Like I say, like this
but then it means you paid for it. Now we're all gazetting to pay for whatever special effects you have for your child.
Also
Yeah, because-
funding me your party.
Exactly, because Jared decided to go go-karting, and that was an expensive thing, and now you have to have your party.
I think generally, apart from the fact that birthday parties have become mini weddings now, it's always been generally accepted that you throw the sort of party that you can afford.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Kids are happy with a cake, chips, cool drink, and a swimming pool. Generally.
And each other.
Yes.
And each other.
So what I want you to realize here is they are a team of people. So what they always try and do is they all give different opinions, right, on things. If you are one person, you cannot obviously give so many viewpoints. So that's more where you would need to incorporate things like voice notes and phone calls and stuff like that to bring in all the different characters to showcase the different sides of your content.
It's always just like, am I being, Deloitte and Pesh by wanting to? Yes, I still don't know. The 350. Where is it going?
So then what is the point of having a birthday party if
So did you see there what they did? They're doing it exceptionally smoothly because they've prepped it. So they spoke and then they don't say, cool, let's listen to your voice notes. They just start playing them. And you'll hear there's going to be 3 different voice notes now directly after each other that's been cut into one. Then they chat, and then they get a caller. Okay, so I want you to listen to the structure of the link.
Kids have to pay for themselves.
I believe that if they're invited to a birthday party, the person that has invited them must cater for them. If they've been invited to Go Rave City, then that person needs to be responsible for the entertainment, the entrance, and everything.
No. If you invite my child to a birthday party, you have an obligation to pay for all expenses connected therewith.
Connected therewith. Ernest, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Morning,
If I'm
Ernest.
coming to your party, I'm going to be a present and I expect a party. Don't ask me to come sponsor your party.
But you expect a party though, Ernest.
Well, if the party could be a bag of chips and a cold drink in the park and having fun.
Exactly. It's a kid day 12.
Don't ask me to come expect because your child wants a massive party. Ask me to sponsor it so your child can have a good day.
Yeah, but then it works the same when your kid has a party. Ernest will sponsor.
No.
That's fine.
What happens
I
if you...
can afford Sun City, I take it and I pay for it.
Exactly. Now, what if, like, I decide, okay, cool.
I just want to pause there again because now what they're doing is they're bantering. You see the different opinions, okay? And what have I said about conflict? Conflict is the spice of life. It works when you have different opinions. You need to have different opinions in this, okay? So you heard 3 voice notes directly after each other. Then they just said something briefly. Then they're playing the voice, the call. But again, there was no, hi, how are you? I'm great, thank you. How are you? They delved into it immediately, okay? It's all part of prep and how you produce this thing. So if we continue with that link now.
Kid wants helicopter at their party. Now everybody must contribute 1,000 rand because we're all having helicopter flips.
Exactly. It really makes a point, and Ernest, because what's the threshold then? Like how much is too much for me to ask of you guys to contribute to my child's party?
Right.
Frankie,
Yeah.
your child's birthday is not a school fun day. You shouldn't be obligated to pay.
No, but I mean, if we're gonna have a nice party, then I don't see that.
Even at the school, they say we're raising money for a pavilion. What are we raising money for? Are you guys in foreclosure? What are we doing? Babe, are you, like, what's wrong?
No, but hang on a second. So if I let you know beforehand and I go, Anele, I want to have a party, I'm going to there's 2 options.
Yeah.
Either you would do bag of chips and run around the...
Okay, I'm going to fast forward it a bit because now they just discussed this thing.
That is the problem. And
That's you 25% on my monthly.
like, well, where's the snake? You know,
Uh,
the time thing with snakes and scorpions and
I want you now to listen to the ending of this thing, how they end this link.
rivers at your party. If you can't afford that, it's fine. Just
At
have
the end of the day,
have the party you
it's
can
an
afford.
experience.
Yeah, if you want the
Another
kids to have a good time.
No, you can't
Oh,
force us into an experience. You must plan for the party you can afford. And then, because the kids are not going to come like, well, where's the snake? You know, it's not going to happen.
Have you met 12-year-olds? No, the kids are totally going to do that.
I think you plan for what you can afford. That's it.
And sometimes you can spend a fortune on a party. Everybody comes and pays 350. Now you've paid for the entertainment, right? Let's just say.
Yeah.
And it's terrible.
And I didn't have
And
fun.
I didn't actually have fun. Can I get a refund?
The ticket price.
Jared's mom, I didn't have fun. And I didn't like a hot dog. And the mustard was funny. I want my money back.
So what they did there is they ended the link on an emotional level, right? They ended it on a high. They ended it by trying to make you smile. So that's what I want you to do when you do content. If you don't do a promise at the end, you need to have a payoff, or in this case, yeah, the payoff. Here the payoff was part of the blackout. So they made you smile at the end of this link again. Okay. So are you understanding? So that was a phoner on the one side. They did a throw forward in the previous link. Then they reset the premise of the link. They gave the different opinions. They had people give opinions on voice notes, and then they had two opposing viewpoints on the calls. So again, that forms part of your characters that you are using to make this link better and to make this link stand out. Okay, with me?
Yes, ma'am. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So since you said that we can't, okay, we are not advised to use jingles after, like, to end off
No,
our,
because otherwise it becomes a crutch. If you don't know how to use it and you haven't been on air long enough, it becomes a crutch.
okay, so do you now suggest that, okay, after I say, yeah, send us a WhatsApp to give your opinion on whatever, do you suggest that we now say the number, the WhatsApp number, instead of adding the jingle? Because in that jingle,
Yes.
I think they do say the number and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So
you would give the number
okay.
and perhaps say, I don't know, like when you end it off, normally remember I'm looking for utilities as well from you. So Taylor Swift on 947, whatever, and then play the song.
Okay.
Okay, just to get out of it.
Okay.
So it's all about less is more. That was one of the questions, but it's easy to say less is more, but it's very difficult to show you how to do it without actively playing your links for you to understand what I mean with that. Okay, so it's you get into this link, you tell your story with your viewpoint, you make sure the story is enticing and engaging for me, something that will help hold my attention, and then you get out of it. No waffling about, no oh, my day has started so well, blah, 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 none of that stuff. Just the essence.
All right, makes sense.
So if you were to explain to me how your day was yesterday, you're not going to talk me through from the moment you woke up to breakfast to or whatever, showering, to brushing your teeth, to getting dressed, to getting a taxi or getting in your car and driving, to getting to school, to having this class and that class. You're going to say, oh, it was a crap day, or oh, it was a good day because of X, Y, Z. That's all you're going to tell me. So the way, that's how we think. So that is the essence of how you perceive your day yesterday to have been. That's all you're going to focus on when you do content. Forget everything else. All the little nitty-gritty stuff doesn't matter here. It's about brevity, but giving me enough context to understand. Okay. Right. So then we spoke about the RIP formula, because I'm not a big fan of using internet for content, but I do realize that a lot of times we do that. And if you do have to use the internet for content and you get an article that you're using, it's about how are you using it. So you need to, when you read this article, feel something about it. So let's take that political thing again that I saw. I feel something about it because I am invested in the country, and I personally studied political science, so I'm interested in politics. So I have feelings about it. So it interests me, which means it's a subject I can talk about, okay? If it was something I read and I went, this is boring, then if I'm bored, guess what? You will be bored too, okay? So then I need to choose a different article until I find one that actively makes me feel something, not a generic piece of content. And once I've found this thing that I've seen, I do some more research about this thing on different other websites, and I go and have a look at what other people say about it, etc., etc. I'm a big fan of Reddit as well. So I like going to read what people say about things on Reddit specifically. Now I internalize this thing. So I look at this and I go, okay, cool. What is my opinion? This is well, firstly, what does it make me feel? It makes me feel this. Now, what story can I tell? What story do I have that relates to this specific article? Okay, I have this story. So I can then start by painting a picture for you. So I give you my hook, and then I never ever say, I read this article this weekend about this thing. I just start talking about it because I say, you know, the elections are coming up in a month's time, and I have this really big internal struggle with regards to who I'm voting for, blah, 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 blah. So I give you my opinion, okay, by telling my story. And then I might ask for your opinion, or I might already have voice notes ready from other people that I can play out. Whatever it is that you can do to make this thing bigger and bolder, and to help you to then perform this thing. That's another big thing that I picked up, is a lot of the students were reading. So the content was there, fine. But there was no emotivity because it wasn't performed, because it was read out on air. You cannot read on air, because as soon as you start reading, I can pick it up and I switch off. So you need to be so well prepped that you know what you are talking about. You have an idea of how you're feeling about the stuff, right? So you need to perform it to me in such a way that I don't notice that it's content found on the internet, okay? Because otherwise I can go and Google it myself. Remember, we remember how you made us feel. We don't remember facts and figures and things like that. I remember how you made me feel, which is why you need to internalize your content. And you can, when it gets to that point, you can use sound effects. I did notice some people used sound effects in their assignments. Problem is, fine, you added sound effects. I don't mark you on sound effects. I mark you on your quality of the content. Once again, I found that people try and use the music to compensate for bad content, okay, at the end of the day. It doesn't help. At this point, all you are learning is how to use content before you start learning how to add elements to your content to make it stand out more, okay? You need to know how to use the correct content in the correct context first. Then you go, okay, cool. Me, myself, and I is not enough for this piece. I need someone else to assist. So then you set that up, okay? You fake a phone call. You tell a friend, listen, I'm going to phone you, and you're going to be talking about blah, 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 blah. I've had that at commercial radio stations. I have good friends at commercial stations who have phoned me to say, listen, we desperately need someone to just play this game on air first. Because we don't have enough contestants. Then I've gone on air to play a game with them, to assist them. So radio's theater of the mind. It doesn't mean everything that happens like that is 100% real. We fake a lot of stuff, okay? As long as we get you to feel something at the end of the day, just like series does. Sometimes you need someone to ask a question to get things going. So then you get someone to ask a question. You get a character to ask that question to get this whole thing off. Sometimes you need someone to phone in at the end, or like a kicker to get people to call in, because if they have a strong enough viewpoint and they evoke emotions out of people from their question, other people will follow in suit, okay? So this is all part of your prep. Prepping does not just mean, okay, I'm sitting, writing down a couple of things, go. Prepping means, what else do I need? Am I enough for this thing? Do I need someone else? Remember, though, you will be better than a caller. A caller has not been prepared in the way you have in terms of what works on air and what doesn't, right? So it has to add to your link. Otherwise, you should not be doing it. So contrast works really well. So contrasting opinions. We want contrasting opinions. We want conflicts. Like that link I just played you was conflicts. It's like we want people to resolve something. We as people like resolutions. There's a reason we like, let's say, for instance, The Witcher, right? So I recently watched The Witcher for the first time. And at the end of the 3rd season, I was like, but what's happening? Are they ending up together? Are they not? Blah, blah, blah. So I did a lot of research to go and figure out what is going to happen, because I wanted to know what the resolution was. And I wanted the warm and fuzzy resolution, which they couldn't give me even after all my Googling. So we want you to resolve something, okay? Seek the extreme. If you make a top 10 list or a top 5 list or whatever it is, it has to be of you, your personal opinion, okay? Not something you Googled, your personal opinion, like your personal top 10 breakup list. And you could perhaps have asked a couple of people, which you play the voice notes from, and perhaps ask listeners to send theirs. And then you might have compiled the list from all of that to say, okay, cool, here are my top 10 reasons from everything that I've gotten if you need to get out of a breakup, whatever, okay? Make it a game. People like games. Games always work. We played games since we were small, like all the way up. People still play games today. Like sometimes you go visit friends and you play 30 seconds or you play whatever it is. Why? Because it's engaging. It's fun. Okay. Add a guest, but only if that guest is adding something, adding a layer. Discuss your personal life, your personal opinions, not private, personal. Okay. Incorporate whatever happens in your life. Use your own knowledge, use your own stories. Again, I'm going to use the analogy of why is it that people in rehab facilities always come out with some sort of a bestie? Because they became vulnerable in there. They shared things with one another. They discussed their personal stories and they went, I can relate to this. At the end of the day, you want someone to go, I can relate. Okay, you use your quirks, you use the stuff that's weird about you that makes you stand out. So you create unique and original content that only you can perform. Because at the end of the day, what separates you from someone else at another radio station who are similar? The content, the way that your personality comes through. You're driving your personality. Okay, that's what's important. Okay, so we're not going to do this now, but in essence, if we were in class now, you need to be able to take a story and then create a radio piece from this story by incorporating the RIP formula. Okay. We're not done before you think that we are. So let's chat about a feature again. So before I show you this, what do you think a feature needs to look like? You've created features for me for your assignments. What do you think a feature looks like?
I was gonna try and explain what a feature is. I don't know what it looks like. But
okay, explain to me what you think it is.
Is it not a segment or a piece of content that plays at a certain time, I guess every day on radio?
Yes.
Or like, okay, yeah, not every day, but like, yeah.
It could be daily, it could be weekly.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you understand that you cannot use utilities as a feature? As a segment, because they are already there. They are set in stone. There are specific times when we have features that will happen. Not features, that we have utilities that will run. Like, for instance, on the dot at 9 o'clock, there was news. There would have been sport, perhaps still weather, maybe, definitely traffic, for instance. So we don't add it to our content, our segments, because they were already there. This is a music radio station, not a talk station. Okay. So if you create a feature, it can be anything as long as your personality is in it. It can be a game. It can technically be an interview. It can be a daily, I don't know, or a weekly feature where you speak about someone who's made a difference in your community. It can be a prank. It can be this or that. Okay, as long as it's got some sort of emotive moment to it, and as long as it's got enough content that you can do a show from this thing or feature from this thing for a year. Okay, so a feature, which is also called a benchmark. A benchmark means it's something that's linked to your personality. It's personality-driven radio. Same time on a daily.
Is it not linked? Okay, sorry.
I'm
I
listening.
wanted to ask, is it not linked to the station rather than like personality? Or could be both?
A benchmark is linked to you,
Okay.
but you link to the station.
Okay.
Right. So it's a piece that happens on the same time, daily or weekly. They fill two purposes: to create a mini brand within a show that can be recognized. Example, Ask a Man, which is on Metro FM show between 9 and 12. Okay, so we know the feature well enough that it stands alone without it being part of a show. Okay, or it's something that's there to create appointment listening. I know, I want to tune in at 10 o'clock to listen to this thing. So it creates repeat listening because it's such an engaging, entertaining piece of content. For instance, in the mornings, they play a old song, an oldie, and then you say it's a, I can't remember what they call it, but like you say, oh yeah, this thing is a great old song, or no, it's not, like a hit. It's a hit song, or it's not, whatever. I can't remember what they call it exactly, but something similar to that.
Classic or not?
Yes, there we go. Classic or not. So you go, they do this thing every day where they choose a song and they play it for you and they go, do you think this is a classic or not? And then people send their voice notes. No, I don't think it is. Yes, this is definitely a classic. It's got engagement. People know what time it happens in the morning. I'm driving a lot of the times when this thing is on. So we're aware that the content is a specific time. So we're like, oh, cool. Yes, I want to hear what today's song is. And it's engaging, okay? But it also has longevity, which is important. So it's a feature is this casing. So the feature in this case would be classic or not. But what is within it, the content changes every single day, okay? So listeners want to be entertained, and the feature, if it's entertaining, will create a mini brand. It's strong enough to stand on its own. Like, for instance, I just kind of explained it now, and you were able to tell me it's called classic or not, meaning that it's strong enough to stand on its own. So strong attributes to successful features. It needs to be fun to do and to listen to. It needs to have longevity and be sustainable. You need to have enough content for this thing to run this thing for a year. It needs to be a good fit for your presenter or your team. So it needs to fit in with your team or who you are. And there needs to be a demand for this sort of content. Okay, straightforward. So if you can fulfill this criteria, then your feature will work. So games work, informational content works, funny content works. Funny content based on storytelling works even better. Funny content does not mean a prank. It means who you are as a person. Sorry, I just want to send a message here because someone just tried to phone me. Anyway, so features is something that happens consistently, same time daily, same time weekly. So I'm not going to chat about that now. There are multiple opportunities for interesting stories and features. Lots and lots and lots and lots. Again, we've spoken about this. Set up and resolve conflict. Address or create a dilemma that we need to sort out. Resolve something with an interactive topic, like classic or not will fit in there. Go on a quest, on a mission, like Danger Boy or whatever the other guys, where you send people out, okay, and people need to find this person. anything comedic. Doesn't matter what humor you have. You just need to have some sort of a sense of humor to pull this off. Top 5 list, or a topical story, or on a topical story that relates to you as the presenter, personality radio. Introduce something new, a new game, and include audio in most of your segments. Because if you just listen to me drone on and on for 3 hours, you are going to tune out so quickly. But if I bring things in to make it more interesting, to create more enticing content for you, you'll be more open to listening to me, okay? You won't tune out so quickly. And then we book a guest who's relevant to the audience or the show, someone who is a great character who will fill something in on the show that's lacking currently, an expert to shed light on an issue. Like currently we have a lot of political experts on air talking about what's going to happen if this party wins, what's going to happen to the economy if that party wins, what's going to happen if this and this forms a coalition, blah, 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 blah. So we have a lot of experts on air. Or you create a video, create a viral video, okay? Because multimedia is big. So you create what is called what is the word I'm looking for now? Audio-visual media. Okay, so you create audio-visual media for radio specifically. Okay, so that is all I really wanted to go through and needed to go through with you today to make sure that you understand that in detail. Tomorrow morning, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through your brief with you again to make sure that you understand all segments of it. And then we're going to continue looking at commercial content and prep and how to utilize it. Yes, so that you understand it. And I have recorded this, so I am going to upload it for all those other sheepies who are not in class ever, okay, because unfortunately the two of you are two of the ones who did the best, well, who did really well, so yes. But any other questions for me for today? You should now have a in-depth understanding of what a phoner is, how to reset content, what a promise versus a performance link needs to look at, and what a feature actually is.
Yes, ma'am. I have an understanding of everything now, of the things that you just mentioned. But I also wanted to ask, what did you say? Oh, okay. But when you asked about media that can be, okay, I can't explain it. It's fine. But I wanted to say, can it also be integrated media? Because I remember, I think we had a lesson on that last year.
So integrated media and audiovisual media can be the same thing. Integrated media means you are integrating multiple mediums. Audiovisual media means audio and visual media, aka radio and let's say a video. So we have different ways of words for the same kind of a thing.
Okay.
It's just when you integrate media, you can integrate it
anyway.
Yes, from a lot of different things versus audiovisual, which refers to audio, things I can speak and hear, and visual, what I see.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Then you must have a good rest of your day, and I shall chat to you tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.